welcome to Wednesday afternoon sessions, all the way from the US. I'm really pleased to have Roch LaManna with me today. I'm excited about this session because actually this is all about, as it says, go or grow. You know, we all know we've had a lot of conversations about how tricky the situation is going to be for all of us. But this guy who really knows his stuff, who's advised many companies in the past, really knows how to draw your business out of the tough situations that have occurred in the past. And certainly, I really thought that, you know, Roch's going to be the man to give us a bit of guidance. So, Roch LaManna, over to you. Grow or go.
Thank you, Fraser. Appreciate and honored to be here today. Bottom line here is we have a crisis happening. I'm going to give you a little background about what's happening, how I see it, the next 6 months for you and your business. Okay, so let's start. Here we go. Number one, who am I? I have a great background, 45 years in the business, but it's not the 45 years that's important. It's what I've learned, what I've experienced in those 45 years. I've seen turnaround situations. I've seen global innovation. I've seen a lot of different things from the best of teachers and mentorships. So that's why I believe that I have the confidence and the trust to be able to move forward during this crisis and to advise the people in printing. So introduction to CEOs over the years, growth plans, coaching, and so on. We could go on and on. You could always look this up on my website, rochlamanna.com. Credentials, same thing. But it's very important that people understand family business in printing. Family business is over 90% of the industry. So those are the things that you have to take into account of who's running the show, who's got the steering wheel in the situation. Is it you as middle management executives or the owners? This is all about leadership today. So let's take away a few of the things here. What you have to really look at is your situation. What is your situation? That's the reason why we assess, and you should be assessing with your leadership team of where you really need to go. And not only the next 6 months, you got to really make things happen. And that timeline that I have listed here is between 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You have to start taking action. And with those issues, you have to take into account that this is a game. Business is a game. Don't take it as if it's arms and legs like the crisis, the global crisis that's happening here. However, for your business, you really have to concentrate on what assets you have, what liabilities you have, what opportunities you have, and so on. So you have to have a plan. And with that plan, as a strategy, you need people. You need the best of the best of people to look at your future. So it could be outsourced, it could be yourself, but it's very, very important that you realize that you have a strategic plan, whatever that may be. And you have to trust in it. You have to trust in that. And that's where it comes in about leaning on others, mentorship, advisors, people that you really trust to implement and have the courage to take the risk. And then once you have the courage, you have to really have the confidence to implement that game plan. So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about education, being aware of educating yourself, and hopefully you've been educating yourself globally in the last few months during Corona. All right. So besides that, you need to be enlightened. How do you become enlightened? You become enlightened by asking questions of your particular situation, people that you can really work with. Then after the 3 E's, I call them, education, enlightenment, you become empowered. You become empowered. And you have to have passion with the business of your liking. So let's take a look at it. What do I mean by grow or go? The next few months, you're going to have to really decide which way you're going. In fact, some people have already made their decisions. The people that we're talking to, we're not getting emails asking about, Rock, what if? We're getting phone calls. Rock, what do I do? What's our situation? It gets very personal because this is a situation where you have to start thinking about yourself, you think about your family, and then you revert back to yourself because that's where the leadership comes in. And the people that are working with you have to believe in your leadership. They have to believe in your commitment and that you're really taking a risk. And the bottom line is you're all in this situation. So either way, either whether you're growing and you're invested, because that's what it is, you need to invest. And when I say go, that means basically it's time to let go. What is your timeline? Do you really have 6 months? Do you have 5 years? That's what we mean by runway in our world of mergers and acquisitions. And you're looking at both the buyer and the seller. What is the commitment? Are we all in? Or we should start looking at divesting? We should look at liquidation? All the bad stuff. I'm even getting choked up about the negative aspect of it because not everybody has the opportunity to grow. So you have to be realistic and make that big decision because it's only fair, not only as a leader, but for your employees and their future families and so on. Your personal finance. When you're in family business, that's basically what's looked at. What is your personal situation? Can you take another run at this? Like our family business did back in the 80s. We said, hey, this is a personal investment. We were asked to be acquired by a very large international company. We decided not to. And we lost 90% of our business. So we had to keep moving on. So that's what I mean about family. Family business, your family, your personal family, and so on. So if I'm speaking to you today as an owner, you really have to look at family. And if you have a family business, which is number one? I'm one of 11 kids. I'm child number 5. My father made a decision in the family business to invest all in, and family business was number one. Otherwise, the family would not have what it had at that time. So really look at your situations. And even if you're middle management, do you really want to go forward in these situations? Employees, that's who makes a company. That's who makes the enterprise, the talent that you have. And in this case, things are changing. The talent, the workforce may look different in 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, and so on. You really have to look out, especially if you're going to start looking at innovation. The talent of tomorrow is completely different than it is today. So you have to start looking forward. Customer base. Customer base is already changing. I'm hearing from people every day about supply chain and resourcing and all the changes and who, not only the banks looking to for funding first, the suppliers are also looking at who do I bet on? Who's going to be sustainable in the future? So that's very, very critical. You might not even be part of their plan as a customer. So you have to look at your own customers. And let's be fair about this. What about companies that are looking for printing, that are looking for supply chain relationships, that are becoming more and more in depth because they have to have dual sources today, not sole sources like a lot of us enjoyed over many, many years. Okay, and realities and considerations. You have to look at everything. And there's 4 things that we really assess, that I've assessed over 45 years. Number 1, talent. You have to really look at your workforce as you're starting to put your plan together, because you need your people to understand where you're headed as a leader. Number 2, you have to have a strategy. You have to document it. You have to have a sales plan. You have to have a growth plan. You have to have an exit plan. You might have a family succession plan. All this takes time. And with that takes time, it's investment. In the meantime, you're trying to grow your company. This is where you really have to focus on working on the business versus in the business, because that's why you have people and talent. Use those capabilities. And number 4 is very, very critical. People underestimate it, and so have I. When I was young, I had a banker. Banking relationships are very, very critical because you have to continue working with them, informing them where you're headed, because they are regulated. If you have outside third-party financial help, you need to really look at who are your friends, who's going to support your future, because it's not all about credibility anymore, because credibility is not exactly where it is, where it should be ranked. Integrity, ethics, all those things are great, but if they don't meet the specifications and the parameters of the banking industry, you're basically doing it alone. And you have the risks and the tolerance to be able to risk everything to go into the future. So that's very key. Phase 2, as I mentioned, you have multiple plans. You have, number 1, a strategy. You need to have a strategy. Number 2, what about a succession strategy? What about examples? I get calls from family members, 2nd, 3rd generation. Rock, I want to buy my father out. At this time, during Corona. This is a tough time to speak to your parents about selling the business or even succeeding in the business. It might be a great opportunity, but you need to understand all the 4 factors of what's happening. You need to understand overall, even though you might have been in the business technically, it's a whole new ballgame to look at the business as a business. And for your family to hand over the reins is not an easy thing. And don't forget, they also have their advisors. And there's a lot of money, family estates. And what's the best route for the family? Succession, sell to a third party, exit. And what is the transaction going to look like for the family, for the employees? And the employees should also know what the patriarch is going to do. So those, be prepared, but not only be prepared, you need to be ready. And time is moving very quickly here. You are not controlling the timetable. So God is handling the timetable and the plans of success. Know your value. Understand the VBS stands for Value Building System. That is an online valuation process that you should really understand the fair market value of your business today as you decide what to do with it. This is where you need to know the financial aspects of finance, okay? And that's not only the owner, it needs to be passed on to the future leadership and the managers to look at, can we even afford making this and executing that strategy? Balance sheet. Understand your owner's equity today, not yesterday. What's happening? Values are all dropped. Look at the stock market, look at your value, look at the business overall. There's very few people that I know that are really doing well during this time. And if they are doing very well, understand they're in the right marketplace. Labels, packaging, cartons, shipping, food, beverages, and so on. Now, when we talk about wide format, we talk about retail, you know who you are. Where do you go from here? Funding, we talked about being diversified. We talked about the future, making sure cash is king. Be prepared with cash, ready to go. Integrity. Basically, the integrity is doing the right thing constantly. You wouldn't have problems if you were doing things honestly and openly all this time while you're in business. That's the reason why you've been successful, is to keep moving forward. But it might be time for a change, for new leadership, new innovations, new people, new workforce to move forward. That's what the future is going to be. Gig economy. I've been doing this for 20 years, consulting. My team, nobody's under 50, I don't think, okay? Everybody's independent. Everybody's got 20, 25 years experience. Expect that. I'm getting calls all the time. Rock, I want to be a consultant. Rock, I just lost my job. Rock, I got a pink slip. Well, what's happening? How can you actually go back to a situation? What was really critical for your future is your own personal plan. What is your skill set, and educate yourself to the point where you may have to shift industries. You may have to shift your learning expectations. You may have to understand that no one's willing to pay you with your former salaries. It's all back to project by project. That's what's happening in today's world. And bottom line is, if you're not growing, you better start moving forward and making a decision. Either way, to salvage. Sustainability may be to get out at the right time. But there is a process. And you're better off negotiating versus litigating. Invest in strategic marketing, digital marketing, your brand. It's going to have to shift. And hopefully you've worked with these people in the past and you've had relationships with them. You have a network of professional people. Look at your own workforce. Who could actually expand and grow their situations? We talked about strategic partnerships. Today, I've learned about strategic partnerships in the 80s, in the 90s. With who? 3M Company. 3M Company was innovative. When they wanted to know something, they would actually go out and partner with someone that had something that they didn't have. But ethically, they would work with that company, learn from them. Once again, education, be enlightened, and grow a commercial opportunity. They empowered themselves. And I was involved with a company a project out of Germany that 3M brought in. And today is over $4 billion. And it started with a $150,000 investment. That's a strategic partnership, okay? Planning, decide, deploy, track, and so on. So here we are. We're here for any questions. Fraser, I hope that answers a few questions for now.
Yeah, thanks very much. Can you hear me okay, Rock?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. I've got a couple of questions for you, actually, because I like the thinking around, I think what we've heard quite a lot on the summit is this talk about decision between investment in technology or machinery or a new printing machine or investing in skills. And we've heard a lot about this, and there's a sense, isn't there, that the whole COVID crisis has kind of made people think a bit about their investments and the way they build or grow. And I think you've touched on it a little bit, that this sense that maybe what this has done is it's made us think a little bit about this kind of, do we need to spend that amount of money on a piece of machinery, or should we be looking to invest in people? What do you think there, Rock?
Well, I'm going to go with what our clients are asking us for, okay? When you talk about technology, the technology of today, you have to really look at the segment. Where is the need?
Yep.
Where are the opportunities? Where are the markets? And that all goes into labels, cartons,
sure,
packaging, and so on. Now, let me mention this. Most family businesses think technology first.
Yeah, of course.
But guess what the leaders think today? The leaders of today, the buyers of today, the growers of today invest in people.
Yeah. And that's what basically I'm saying to you.
That's basically where I'm headed is today's leaders are asking about, they're not asking about technology. They're not asking about capacity. They're asking for people, Rock, who are the operators to take us from 100 million to 200 million.
Right.
And we want to
Okay.
do it in 3 to 5 years.
Okay, so let's agree on that, and I sense that we're basically saying the same thing there. But I want you to give me an indication of, let's say you're a print business and you're maybe 10, 15 people, maybe 20 people, sort of medium size, doing a good business, good turnover. Your opportunity is to go and invest in some new technology, as you just said, that clearly at the moment there's marketplaces like packaging, labels, cartons that is good. Some of the wide format segments are not so good. So we're going to say to them, guys, pivot, think differently, turn your company on its head and start doing something different. And instead of spending $500,000 on a piece of kit, I want you to go and invest in 3 or 4 new people, young, dynamic, smart individuals who can come in this business and start helping us turn this into something different. Are we saying that? Is that what we're saying?
Definitely.
Okay.
That's where I come with the leadership of today is very possibly at the point where they're going to have to let go and trust and bring in people. And where I would start is where the next group of managers, where to finally listen to them and say, go at it. I will back you up financially. Now, the reason why I say that is because I've lived it.
Yeah.
And every time I work with a CEO and a business owner in our business, that's the hardest decision for them, is to let someone else basically hand over the steering wheel.
Yeah, take control. There's this sense that, if you've got people that are better than you, that shouldn't be an issue as a leader to let them do the things that they're good at. So if they've got certain skills that you may not have, it's better for the business to let them get on with that and do it than it is for you to try and control the whole situation and kind of hold the reins. So I get that. This is completely logical. As you and I have talked about this before. People like Simon Sinek talk a lot about this. Anyway, I guess what's interesting for me is why has the crisis made things speed up? Why for us in the print industry do you think this crisis has kind of meant that really now this is more important than ever?
I'm asking the same question. I've been doing this for 45 years. Okay? So to me, being raised in 11 children, like my brother says, we were born and raised in crisis.
Yeah, right.
Okay? We were out and hustling all the time. We have common sense. It's common sense. It's, however, people, I'm going to get off now, people have been greedy. I've seen deals fall apart in 2018 and 2019. And you know what's happening to the values of those companies today?
Yeah.
It's maybe even half of what it was last year. And guess what? I'm getting a call every week. Rock, what do you got for sale?
I was going to say that. So we agree that basically it's talent that we need to be looking for at the moment rather than technology. Talent and technology. So let's just flip the other side of this. For businesses that are in a fairly strong financial position, is this a good opportunity and a good time to invest? And I'm talking about investing in other businesses. Would you be saying to someone, look, guys, you're in this segment, maybe you want to be addressing other segments, maybe you want to be thinking slightly differently? Would you be saying to people, look, you've got technology, you develop this very much for a print industry, but with the skills you've got, the technology you've got, the mind you've got within your business, you should be looking at other products as well to diversify. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is start with cash. Okay. Cash is king. We got the 4 items, as I mentioned: people, strategy, execution, and cash. And here's the other thing. The leaders of the industry, the people that are buyers today, okay? The buyers of today are looking at 5-10 years from now. That's what they're looking at. Family businesses are either looking at succession with their children, number 1, okay? Number 2, they might be looking at their management to take over. And there's usually very, very minimal opportunity to sell their business, their family business, to a third party in the management. So guess what they're looking at? exit. They're
Yep.
looking at exit, and their goal right now is the multiples.
Yeah.
Multiples, but here's the problem. The EBITDAs have dropped. In the future, may even be worse
Yeah.
if they're in the wrong market.
So you know, that's why I asked the question, is it a good time to buy? Are you buying at the bottom of the market value? Is it good opportunity if you've got cash?
Oh, for sure. For sure. But people aren't looking for distressed companies. The leaders are looking for companies that have a strong balance sheet and strong management, but not the owner. They're not looking at not the owner. They're asking the owner to walk.
Okay. So you sense that. They're looking at the business rather than the people. That's interesting. That's a very good point. What do you sense, just flipping towards more the manufacturing environment? You know, when we're talking to people like the big players, the big manufacturers, are they going to have quite a tough time for the next couple of years?
My prediction is it's going to take 3 to 5 years to turn this Titanic around.
Yeah, okay.
And if you don't have that runway, start looking at divesting and exiting.
Yeah, okay. So this would apply both to print shops, to sign makers, to manufacturers of technology. Doesn't matter. Just
let's just say this: if you're less than 50 million, between 50 and 100 million in business.
Yeah.
Okay. Now is the time to either double up if you have a strong balance sheet, or this is a great time to exit.
Yeah.
Great time to exit because you're going to get fair market value.
Yeah. Okay. Would you say that? Because I think, it might be that the market value is quite low at the moment, and you think actually my product's not that great. It was okay. It's looking pretty bad now, so I'm not going to get what I thought. I might have got a little bit more in a buoyant market. But you think it's okay to exit now?
I think it's a great time to exit. You know why?
Go on.
You'll be lucky. You'll be lucky to close. You really be lucky.
So if you get a deal at the moment,
you better counter it. You better start talking about it and start thinking about it. It's a serious situation today.
So listen, just thank you very much for your presentation. It was excellent. I just want to finish. I'd like you to just give me 3 simple takeaways from our discussion and from your presentation. So if people are really just picking up 3 things that they should be thinking about, what would they be? What would ROC be saying to them today to get them out of this crisis?
Number 1, assess your situation. That's number 1. You have to understand.
You use the time we have, whether you're in lockdown or whether you're just starting back up, use the time to assess your situation.
Assess the situations, number 1. Number 2, make a decision. Make a decision which way you're going to go. Because it's either you're going to grow or you're going to go.
Yeah.
And number 3, hire professionals to help you through this crisis. You need mentorship. You need professionals to help you.
Now, let me pick up on that so that I can get some clarity from mine. So I'm with you about talent. I'm totally with you. I think everything you said is right there, that this is about investing in people, not necessarily product or machinery. But if I said to you, look, give me 3 people that you want me to recruit or you want me to bring in, what kind of people are you talking about? Are you talking about young graduates? Are you talking about mature guys like you and I who've got knowledge about business? What are you talking about here?
That's a great question on my part, because it actually comes down to leadership. Okay, the first one I would pick is a CEO. You need a visionary. You need a visionary because it may not be you, number 1. And then it's just like a sports team. You pick the coach, and guess what the coach does? They decide. The owner decides the coach. Then they bring in assistant coaches. So who's the most important people that a CEO needs?
Yeah, and I guess
they need a strategist.
Yeah.
And they need somebody that's going to execute the deal. And guess what they have? They have their own teams I always had in 45 years, I had 2 manufacturing companies. In 25 years, my first 25 years, I handpicked my own team.
So
I was picked.
Yeah, you'd build your team, wouldn't you? You'd build your team.
Build a team. Build a team.
It could be some of your existing people within the company.
Yes.
And it could be some of the new guys that you bring in. And I guess, in essence, that's a good finishing point for today. I think that's a good way of us just thinking in terms of what opportunities exist out there for all of us in terms of bringing forward your business. And as you said, grow or go. Rock LaManna, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful session, and I hope to see you in real life someday.